Welcome back to Voracious Podcast. We're back. We were on a hiatus for a couple of weeks. I was pretty sick.
Yeah,
sick. I got the ick. I think everybody but my wife got the ick. And
the new
my voice was almost gone for like a week.
New COVID.
I could talk for about an hour a day. And yeah, I don't know what it was. It's fever. And
we're just all grateful you're back.
All
20? 20 now?
We have 140 YouTube subscribers. We actually still got more subscribers, even though we didn't put any content out, which is that's crazy.
Well, you know, people still watch Gilligan's Island too. I mean, so
thanks.
I mean, that's a great show. Oh, he's still sickly.
I'm still a little coffee.
There we go.
Coffee. Yeah.
We're talking about coffee today.
Yeah, coffee. What's good? Today's topic, we're going to talk about what's real love look like, and even more specifically, what does love look like even when you're going through it? Because it's easy to love, it's easy to show it when everything's pretty much going your way. You don't have very many annoyances. And in my life in particular, I've been kind of walking through it for a couple of weeks. Just specifically with me, it's like at my job specifically, a million little annoyances turn into just this huge
volcano.
Yeah, raging volcano. And I don't like being a raging volcano. It scares me, honestly. I'm always afraid of what I might accidentally say or, God forbid, do. But then you see the story in the Bible, and I can't pinpoint where it's at. I should have done my research before we started. Edit that in.
There you go.
A Bible.
A verse.
Verse in the Bible.
Ta-da.
Where Jesus was angry, and he was literally flipping tables and chasing people out of a temple. And do you think he was yelling?
Oh, yeah.
Probably.
I mean, I'm pretty confident he yelled and raised his voice.
But he didn't hate anybody. It wasn't like, I think a lot of times anger in people's mind is tied to like hate. Like, why are you yelling at me? You hate me? What's going on? Or whatever. But doesn't have to be the case. And I'm not hating anybody. I'm just annoyed to the point to where everything I do lately has been very just matter of fact. I'm tired of getting pushed and poked in the little pecks of life. I don't know. I really feel like it's been a test of just how am I going to react in love, in anger. And I don't think I'm passing the test by by any means.
Well, you know, without a test, you can't have a testimony. Thanks. Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true. But I think I'm learning. So what is that biblically, do you think, supposed to look like? Because he's obviously throwing a fit in the temple. It's, you know, getting these people out of here, throwing tables over, breaking people's property.
Sure.
What are your thoughts?
Well, you know, I mean, he is love.
Right.
So God is love.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times in the church world, we don't really know what love is. We confuse love with a lot of different things.
Yeah.
You know, I was talking about it I think a few weeks ago, that in the English language, we have one word for love, and it's love. So, you know, I love my wife, and then I love steak.
Yeah.
I had a good one earlier, you know, so, I mean, but there's a difference, love. There's a difference in it because we love our favorite sports teams, but we also love our animals, but we love our kids. And so sometimes love gets kind of washed out. And then in the church world, we have so many people that are so avid about saying, well, you know, that's not love, or you have to love me. You have to accept me. You have to take me in the way that I am.
Yeah, love gets confused with acceptance and tolerance. And that's another one I don't really understand is, you know, you see the bumper stickers that say tolerance, and it's like made out of all the different pagan symbols that you could ever think of. I think that's the
coexist. I've
coexist.
Seen that one.
Okay. Yeah. Tolerance.
Same difference.
A big thing. And I'm like, since when did anybody really want to tolerate anybody else?
Yeah, I don't think we do. And again, I mean, I think like I was saying, that's where the church kind of gets, people in the church get kind of worked up, and they're like, well, you don't love me because you disagree with me.
Right.
Or you're not showing me love because of this. Or on the other side, they confuse, I think we confuse trust and love a lot of times. Mm-hmm. Like I can love somebody, but I may not trust them. I may not go to that degree. And so people just kind of throw themselves out there. They're like, well, I'm not a good Christian if I don't trust somebody who just slapped me in the face 5 times, right. That they're not going to do it the 6th. Cause I just need to be more like Jesus. And Jesus was very adamant about, right and wrong. Mm-hmm. I mean, I was along those lines. I was hearing people talk about a discussion about Jesus getting angry and how Jesus didn't expose people's sin. So they were talking about those things. But if you look at how Jesus talked to the Pharisees, like he did, he called them out. He was like, you guys are whitewashed tombstones with dead men's bones. Right. You're these cups that are clean on the outside, but within you, you're filthy.
Yeah. And I was going to say, well, what do you mean by it didn't expose people's sin? Because like he even told the woman at the well everything about what she's been in. So what is that? Yeah, that's just wrong.
And so, but that's where I think we get confused on love, because love is truth, right? Because God is love and love is truth. And sometimes, I mean, truth hurts. Yeah. I mean, you exposed yourself in that moment of like, hey, I'm probably not passing this test. Yeah. Probably not doing great. Well, the truth is, I've got to be honest with myself and honest with the situation in order for it to become what it needs to be. And so, yeah, I think again, we get kind of skewed on what love is, on the variation of love. And there's the deeper meanings of love and the different types of love and all of those things. But at the basis of it, God is love. Mm-hmm. And love is the one who walked into the temple and said, you've turned my father's house into a house of thieves, a den of thieves. And so he starts kicking them out. Yeah. Because love is passionate too. Right. And and I think, when you're like you and other people that I know who are very justice driven and things are wrong.
Black and white.
Oh yeah.
Right and wrong.
Yeah. I mean, there's not a lot of gray in that world.
And I don't live in a gray world. I've tried. I can't do it. I don't know.
And there's nothing wrong with that if you're living in a black and white world where love is the root of who you are. Right. And obviously that love can only come from the Lord and the way he works. So, I mean, that's part of the journey, right? That we can have honest conversations. Yeah. We can even disagree. We can even agree to disagree. Yeah. And still walk in love. I mean, Paul and Barnabas, right? They came to a point where he's like, hey, John Mark's coming with us. He's like, dude, I'm not traveling that joker. No. He's like, well, I'm taking him. He's like, well, deuces. Yeah. I'm out.
Go ahead.
But then Paul didn't write a newsletter the next week exposing how Barnabas wasn't a true apostle.
Yeah. And he could have.
He could have. I mean, he was the, apostle of apostles, right? Yeah. And so, but he never has a harsh word about Barnabas. They just agree to disagree. Because at the end of the day, they did love each other. They just couldn't come to that place of connection in that one item.
Yeah. And I don't think when Jesus was kicking people out of the temple and all their stuff, he didn't say, and never come back, and, like you're going to hell for that, he was not casting judgment on people personally and condemning them.
You go home now. You'll be a full hour. You scare my wife. Sorry, John Panette. I couldn't.
But that's the love aspect of it. It's like, there's still grace. I'm still grace, forgiveness, but just get out right now because this is not okay. Yeah. It's obviously, to me, what that says is there is leeway for passionate anger. And I don't know that he actually, you think he hurt anybody? Probably. I mean, I think it would be recorded.
I'm sure they've been like, any black somebody's eye and busted his teeth out. And I don't
broke a chair over this dude's head.
Like WWF style.
But he got his point across, and it was probably pretty wild, especially for like the temple. Mm-hmm. It ain't probably never seen anything like that before. That would have been wild. So, I mean, is it justice that backs that up? I mean, because he's just.
Yeah, I think it's that. I think there's like the biblical word would be like righteous indignation, right?
Whoa.
Like, yeah, that's a big
Okay.
one. Yeah. The theology there. But yeah, I mean, like a righteous anger that says what is happening is wrong. And I can't sit back and let it happen anymore.
Yeah.
Because I think, again, going back to the root question, what did he love? He loved the Father.
Yeah.
He loved the Father's house. He loved the people that were in there. He loved the ones that he saw were being taken advantage of, because they're selling, these sacrifices, and they're taking advantage of people in the name of God.
Right.
And so he loves that, and he knows what's right. And so it's like, enough is enough. And that's, I think in the world we live in, especially in this modern age, we have this, cancel culture where if you speak out against something, like you're shut off, or you're negative, or you're this. And really, I mean, I love my kids, and I've been, I've disciplined them. I've gotten onto them. I've been really hard on them, but it was to make them better human beings in the future.
Yeah.
And you look at what society looks like, especially in the Western world now, and we have things that are out of control because somebody either never told somebody no, they never disciplined them, they never gave them that, or they never gave them love. And so people are created to crave love, and they're gonna or attention. It's love, but attention, and so they're gonna get it one way or the other. And then you have incidents that happen at like that parade for Kansas City where 23 innocent people are shot because there was a group of people that got mad at each other and didn't have that stemation of love built in them to be able to get angry and maybe have words, but not escalate it to a point where life is no longer valuable.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think if you're crossing into where life isn't really valuable, I mean, I think that's a whole nother, I think you get into hate. Cause I think you could only devalue a human life if you hated actual life. So that gets into a whole different.
Sorry, I went off the rails there. My apologies. Yeah, no, but at the root of it though, I mean, as far as believers, like what love looks like, and Corinthians tells us, love is patient, love is kind. It doesn't hold against people. It doesn't envy. It's all these attributes that, like you brought back to your point, we're all trying to walk in.
Right.
And we're striving to walk in those things. And sometimes we do well, and then sometimes we don't. But we have a barometer to tell us, hey, am I operating in love? Because only you know the motivation of your heart. Same for me. Like I can say, oh, Andy did this because I saw this outward action, but only you know what your motivation of your heart was.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm thinking of a story that happened the other day. I got an instant check, an instant receipt from my wife. It's because she does that to me, and that's good. She said something to me, and like I said, I've been dealing just with being angry overall, just in general, in my whole countenance. And she said something to me, and I was doing something. I just yelled my response at her. And she's like, "Are you kidding me?" And I was like, "Yes." She didn't buy it.
Boom, roasted.
Yeah, she didn't buy it at all. But we go through these things.
I mean, that's the journey. But then you go into on love. You have this relationship with your spouse of love where we give each other the benefit of the doubt.
Right.
We don't do it as often as we should, but we give each other the benefit of the doubt. We know, hey, I know this person loves me.
Yeah.
So in this moment that they may react to something in a negative way, that's not who they are. That's not what's going on, but there's something deeper. And so then love kind of, again, it puts us in check.
Yeah.
And says, hey, what are you doing right now?
And I want people to realize as well, because in the church especially, people wear their masks of everything's perfect in my world. And I don't even care who your favorite televangelist preacher is. That guy has had problems at his house. There's been yelling matches. There's been all kinds of stuff. I don't care what he says. There's that's just real life.
Yeah, it's real life.
That's just real life. So don't let anybody make you feel condemned if you're walking through these things like I have been for the past 2 weeks now. And I'm doing a little bit better now. I'm working on the back end of it, which is good. And it's been rough. And I definitely haven't been a perfect model husband at home or father or anything or coworker.
Now you can never be a televangelist. So that's out the window. Sorry.
Yeah. Shoot.
Darn.
But yeah, just dealing with anger is okay. It's a real emotion, and there's a right way to deal with it, and I think there's a wrong way to deal with it. And I think we all have failed in dealing with it, quote, the right way. I really don't care who you are. And just know that there's grace, there's forgiveness, there's redemption, all that stuff. I mean, eventually, I guess.
Yeah. And I think you got to, in the process, you got to learn from the mistakes you make.
Right.
You know,
that's why I said earlier, I just feel like it's just been a period of testing almost, just to learn. Because actually, I was asking the Lord about it. What is going on? Why am I so angry? And I really felt that his response to me was, you need to learn how to deal with it correctly. And I'm like, well, I haven't been. He's like, yeah.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. So why don't you
that.
try again?
Right.
So, and that spurred the topic for today. So,
yeah. But I mean, and that's, like you said a minute ago, that's the grace of God, right? I mean, if you read the Bible, in all these instances of the children of Israel, they're out in the wilderness and they get frustrated, they murmur, they complain. I mean, they even say it was better when we were slaves, which it wasn't, but they didn't want to deal with their circumstances. And they didn't cross over into the promised land because of that.
Yeah.
And so, but God, he didn't wipe them out right then. He's gracious, he's merciful. And now we have the new covenant with Christ. And so it's even more grace and mercy that says, I'm becoming who he made me to be. If any, we quote the scripture all the time, if any man be in Christ, he's a new creation. Old things have passed away, and behold, all things become new. And there is this instantaneous heart change, but then there's a practical walking it out.
Right.
Where I've got to stop being me and start looking more like him. Yeah. And like you said, anybody who's on that journey has faltered. Yeah. And if they say otherwise, then they're faltering now because they're liars. I mean, that's just plain and simple.
Yeah. Yep. Good episode. I think we tackled it.
So.
Yeah, I thought so. Okay. We had a good lunch at least.
I did have a good lunch. I loved it. It's really good.
Agape?
No, it was kind of a feast, It was kind of a feast. So
anyway, subscribe if you would, share these videos. Voracious Podcast out.
See you soon.